Hello, hello. So today I wanted to do something different. Oh, is Trump mumbling about Iran from the White House? Send me a link if you have one from like a reputable news source. And we can take a look at that. But yeah, I've been pondering a question over the weekend, and it's something I'd really love to talk about and get into. But yeah, the question I've been pondering over the weekend is what is the Democrat Party? There are two words, like Democrat and liberal. And I think those are different words, useful in different meaningful contexts that are not quite the same. And one big problem is that liberal has kind of just become a dirty word thrown by literally every political affiliation as a pejorative. Like, Republicans hate liberals, neo Nazis hate liberals, centrists hate liberals, leftists hate liberals, and liberals hate liberals. What it actually means has kind of faded out and is way, 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 way less specific. It's conflated with neoliberal, even though that's something like more specific and different. People just don't seem to care anymore. So I'm not sure that liberal is a useful word. It's kind of become a dirty word. Um, and yeah, so I've started to look at politics as like a branding thing, a marketing thing, because that's how conservatives seem to use it. So yeah, I'm curious about that. So then the other option, the other word, the other vehicle, which is I think better and more useful as a vehicle in a changing political scene, is the word Democrat. What does it mean to be a Democrat? And a lot of people will call themselves a conservative or identify as a Republican to the point that it becomes a generational cultural thing. But um, on the left, like there's like so much shame around calling oneself a liberal, no matter your actual policy beliefs, or a Democrat. And I think right now there's this big question like, oh, who will run in 2028 or whatever. I think it's bigger than the person. I think it's actually a matter of what do you call that? Marketing. I mean, it's about the party itself. And there's this concept I've been reading up on called like brand equity, which is when you put your brand name on something, sort of like a signature. That carries some weight, or at least it's supposed to. Uh, it implies something about the specific product, right? So, like, if you have, say, like, a Gucci purse, Gucci implies like luxury, like quality, like an elite status kind of thing. Not even quality as much, but like that luxury connotation. And so even just calling oneself a something, like, or affiliating oneself with a brand name is meant to carry a sense of identity in a lot of ways. Excuse me. I have a lung disease, so I apologize. I cough sometimes. I try to turn off my mic if I can catch it in time. Um, so when you consider like how brands work a lot of the time and how brands and marketing are fully self-aware for a very long time in the space of the attention economy in new media, getting people's attention, convincing them to buy something, putting an idea in your head. Then you look at politics and you see the same like consultants kind of spinning their wheels and failing, not sure why. Oh, well, this person's policy agenda is like 50 pages long and it means A and B and C and doesn't actually connect with anything. It doesn't resonate with anyone. Like, I don't think it's a matter of we need a different candidate or necessarily like just giving into just mimicking somebody else's style or saying certain demographics can't win or lose anything. I think it's a matter of examining what is like the brand identity here. What is the brand equity? Because it seems currently there are connotations a lot of people have around different political parties. Ooh, I'm going to start recording to make a video out of this. Sorry, I may repeat myself a little bit here. What does it mean to you to be a liberal or a Democrat? What about a conservative or a Republican? words carry meaning, and one problem I've noticed is that liberal is a dirty word. Liberal is used not to mean anything specific or technical, but as a pejorative. Conservatives hate liberals. Neo-Nazis hate liberals. Centrists hate liberals. Leftists really hate liberals. And liberals hate liberals. The same is not true of conservative or Republican, which are generational points of culture and pride conflated with your sense of identity, local community, and family. And sometimes this does carry into their political perceptions as well. When I see Democrats failing elections and spinning their wheels about policy concessions on various civil rights issues, I don't think that's necessarily true. I see a problem where a party is failing to resonate with people. People do not want to identify with that party. And I think there's some rationale for that. And it's desperately underexplored. In the modern day, media-driven attention economy, brands know what they're doing. Private corporations advertise on billboards, on podcasts, on radio, on TV, on YouTube, on random internet ads. And they consistently craft a specific message to give you a sense of feeling or connotation about their brand as an idea in your head that stays. Something like a Gucci purse implies luxury status. Certain brands imply reliability. Something like Ford implies a tough, rugged American masculinity. Tesla used to mean smart, economical. Now it means fascist sympathizer. But brands mean something, and they're crafted to effectively get into the social consciousness in a certain way. When I see Democrats failing elections, even big presidential ones, over my lifetime, the big problem I see is that even though a Republican might brand themselves as openly evil and hateful, people don't get on board with a Democrat because they have an idea about what Democrats or liberals as a whole are, and the recurring specific complaint that applied to Kamala Harris and already some 2028 hopefuls. I don't know who she is or what she's about or what she stands for. There's a lack of identity. And even if you're not as bad, there's no association with who you are or what you are. When it comes to brands themselves, I think we have to start with party. We're supposed to get some brand equity from that. Republican, to a lot of people, means Christian, means tradition, means family, means local culture. It means to a lot of people, even apart from all factual reality, good for the economy, tough and good at stopping crime, good on foreign policy, and respected. And those aren't even based in fact. Democrats, meanwhile, have a reputation as being compassionate, which people respect as a positive trait, but see as less serious than the harder, practical, common sense ideas they believe falsely Republican to mean. And that's not enough. To most people, Democrat just means soft, nice, weak. And I think that needs to change. So what I really want to do is talk with people and get a sense of what you think Democrat means, what you think liberal means, what it is, and it's okay if it's good or bad. And then we might do the same with Republican and get a sense of where these ideas are in our head, and then what do we want them to mean, and where can we take them. I did this in a messy form before in a live stream once, and we're going to do a better job cleaning it up. But yeah, I really wanted to talk about what these parties mean to you all. Because I think this is how we start to fix a problem, like a pretty big problem. Where are we at? So I'm going to switch to a little browser window. How would you describe the Democratic Party? These can be good things, they can be bad things, they can even be neutral. I'm going to put like a neutral / unsorted. And I just want to see this as like a kind of a problem solving thing. Like, it's okay. It's okay to be honest. If some weird tanky comes in and just wants to hate on the Democrats for 30 minutes, we're going to hear them out and we're going to hear what they say and try to just get the facts, not necessarily policy facts or measurable statistical outcomes of democratic actions, but where these ideas are defined in the zeitgeist. Like, what are we working with here? What's our current hand? And then we're going to start to build a new hand. And sometime after this, might be today, it might be tomorrow, we're going to go through like a Democrat website, because I did this once on a stream and I was just dumbfounded, and we can be way more efficient at this. Okay. Yeah. Hi, thank you. Yeah, I don't want to say your name on stream. But yeah. I went through some personal stuff. It was pretty sad for a while, but we're back. We're getting into it. It's okay if you want to define Democrats and liberalism in a higher academic sense. Like, whatever comes to mind. What's your instinct, like, hipfire personal opinion? It also can be like what you think other people think it is, because that's part of it, honestly. Like, there's this sense. I've seen in primaries people describe like, oh, I know I would vote for them, but I know people generally, I believe most people think they're unelectable, stuff like that. Like, these are useful, like, honest, accurate perceptions of where we're at. And it's just kind of like we need to like be authentic and level with people. Okay. Let's see. So we have some cons already coming in. We're gonna write these down. I apologize if there's some typing sounds. I can type if I'm going hard near 200 words a minute, and it sounds like a power tool, and I try to get the quietest keyboards I can. But I also have a microphone on my desk. It's meant to go in a cone towards me. We'll see what we can do. If there's some sound, I hope it's like a nice ASMR typing sound. Ha. We're going to make our font white and make that the default. Run like a private club and ignore primaries. Need to focus less with the culture stuff. We have lost blue collar folks. One thing I'm curious, yeah, out of touch, I'll write that down. Out of touch, and I'll write Chuck Schumer specifically. And this is okay, this is all good. Like, the part of fixing a problem needs to include acknowledging the problem. Here you have some good stuff, okay? Rule of law, competence, anti-corruption, support for social programs, professional civil service, lean towards academic solutions. Okay? Some cons we have like market-driven over people-driven, metricized, capitalist derogatory. Yeah, these are all fine. Like, there's no wrong answers at this stage. Cons, whatever influence they capitulated to vote for the laughable. Yeah, capitulated to TikTok ban influenced. Yeah, this is like an office I share with a partner, and we have like our two desks side by side. We have like two little chairs back there if we just want to hang out. Sometimes we'll put a movie on one of our screens. And it's good to just step away from your desk for a little bit. Okay. Okay. We'll do like urban, young. These are just like descriptive. Could go either way, but yeah, that's a start. Yeah, okay. Runs and elects a lot more women and people of color. And if I have missed anything, please feel free to restate it or yell at me. I have a TikTok chat and a YouTube chat, and they're both going fast. Concessionary. Neutral, we have hands off influencing various organizations. media, business, government departments. Okay. Oh yeah, like the presidential candidates dropping out simultaneously. Let's see. Afraid to use leverage. Afraid to disrupt the status quo. Claims to be a big tent. Coalition doesn't work together. Hi. Pros, track smart people. Okay, yeah, that's... Thank you for the compliment, but that is a general, like, perception here. Fascist, okay. You know what? I'll write those down. I think you're maybe a bot or an incel, but we're going to write those down anyway. Do you consider those things positive, neutral, or negative? Someone in TikTok chat, for context, just said, as 3 separate messages, fascist, Jewish, and gay. We live in weird political times. There's lots of stuff going on. Okay. Positive? All right. Okay. And this is not me specifically endorsing any of these in any way. But we just need to like get a sense of like overall where are we at. I know the Democratic Party did a big 2024 postmortem internal report, and they've kept it like private from the public, and are just looking at it like internally and passing it around, so that way like they don't kind of show all their like biggest flaws to everyone else, you know, so they can get bullied in ads. And that was kind of weird to like do the report and then keep it close. But I hope internally they're learning some stuff and acting on it. But we're going to do our own here, our own postmortem, because I don't think we're in a position right now to lose the 2024 election. I have no fear of that. I think that's already happened. We just need answers. Too focused on identity politics. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to you? Or a neutral thing? And then we have sometimes presumptuous on their supporters. Okay, too focused on identity politics. And someone else said that too. Someone else said too focused on identity politics are losing blue collar people. What are identity politics to you? What do you mean? Imperialist? Okay, I'm gonna assume imperialist is a bad thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. To you? Because it's important to see, like, you know, even the same word could have a positive or negative connotation depending on whose it's from. And I'm right here. I have a background in like design and like lots of user research stuff, so I'm not here to like. I'm trying to stay neutral on purpose. You know, I'm trying to just get honest answers no matter what. I want to create a space for that. Okay, cons we have. They're cheesy. Think that Forrest Gump and The Color Purple are cool. Honestly, stuff like that. Like, it can be big things, small things, and we're going to start to see patterns and vibes and put together, like, a synthesis of this information. There's nothing we can do about it. Excuse me. Business party. Is business party positive, neutral, or negative to you? Because to different people, that might mean different things. And I you know, I have a reasonable, I assume, yeah, okay. Business party. Okay. Okay, we have one useful answer on what. So a lot of people have said identity politics is bad. There's too much identity politics, and we now have one person on one. Someone said ID politics is calling people an ist or phobe when they disagree, and like something like that I think is a useful answer, because a lot of conversations online, especially around words like liberal or like socialist or communist or fascist or Nazi, are like labels that have like specific technical meanings and historical meanings and like factual meanings, but people will just like use these words in casual conversation, and usually what happens is both sides are talking past each other because they just mean different things by them, you know. So something like identity politics bad, like, okay, cool, but like let's like, you know, put that in a specific hard form that we can like talk about, you know? Because instead of just like talking past each other. Because there could be potentially like some other expression of what identity politics could mean or how to talk about certain things that doesn't express itself as calling people an ist or phobe when they disagree, you know? So it could mean we don't have to throw out identity politics, some random good thing someone means. We could just throw out calling people an ist or phobe when they disagree. You know, and I think a lot of people will be like, no, we have to defend identity politics, but like miss that critique. So it's good to like draw this, right? I mean, my overall sort of big picture thought here is the Republican Party has taken a direction that is just a cult of personality around a very old mad king and a dying man who started a war he does not know how to finish. He's falling asleep in meetings. He's showing signs of illness and age. The Republican Party doesn't really know what comes after. It's already shaping up to be a wild cat fight between J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio and maybe others who have purposely been pitted against each other. That's on the right. On the left also, they just know like what didn't work, and there's still this like open question of what's next. And even though there will be like basically freebie blue wins in the 2026 primaries just because people hate the Republicans right now, that doesn't mean there's actually like a specific plan on the left. It's more just like a reactive rejection of what there is now. So both sides are like, what's next right now? And especially the Democratic Party, because the last idea didn't work. I think Democratic Party is like an official, legally filed vessel of a political party that is definitely not the cult of personality. But what the Democratic Party is or could be is free real estate right now. So I want to like get a sense of like, okay, what is it? What's good? What's bad? And then like redefine it, you know? Like run as Democrats doing the good things and not the bad things. Because to run as a Republican right now, even if like you consider yourself conservatives away, to run as a Republican right now and win is to just swear loyalty to whatever an old man wants specifically, which is not a good long-term investment. And it's not doing well for the cost of living right now. Okay, we have some more things we're going to add on here. Dems are genuinely sellouts to the 1%. And then we have Republicans are openly sellouts to 1%. Okay. Cons, too many career Democrats in the U.S. House and Senate, self-serving first. Okay. Too many career Democrats in the U.S. House and Senate, self-serving first. The Democratic Party obstructs the emergence of working class politics. Okay. Okay, that tends to do ineffective protests. And yes, the 2025 State of the Union signs, yes. During the 2025 State of the Union, some but not all Democrats in Congress showed up and held up like little signs like calling Trump a liar. But it just came off as unorganized because only some of them had the signs and some of them held them up more than others. And it was like inconsistent and just seemed performative. And it did not give this sense of like, oh, there's a resistance, there's a threat. It just came across as messy. Okay, we have advancement requires selling out. All right, so yeah, we have some answers. A lot of these skew negative, which is interesting. It's not entirely unsurprising to me. And if I missed anything, please let me know. So we have some threads here. There's sort of like a civility. And I know just generally speaking, like some other kind of stereotypes here. And I guess I'll put my own. Going to put educated, compassionate, kind. And then under cons, I'm going to put weak, like naive, idealistic. Okay, quick to concede on minority rights. That's interesting. Okay, we have We have attacks anything that falls outside civility politics. All right. In TikTok chat, Sylvie, you said quick to concede on minority rights. That's what I want to dig into more. What do you mean by that? Yeah, the educated angle comes off as conceited or elitist. Yeah. Unapproachable. I mean, basically what we see with starting with like more simple crude, because when things were just legally divided along hard lines of racial discrimination, like literally slavery, literally Jim Crow, the solutions were very black and white, like literally, uh, in terms of helping people along exact race lines. These days, it's more of a soft, implied, inherited legacy system where, like, there are absolutely, you can study, like, systemic discrimination and different outcomes overall. But, like, a lot of it comes down to, like, just the biases or judgment, even unintentionally in, like, courts or just, like, unintended consequences of mandatory minimums in courts. And like there are absolutely like differences an average outcome in like how much money you have, but there are exceptions to the rule, of course, as well. Like there are lots of white trash people in trailer parks in the deep south who are very poor and had like kind of a negative reaction to that. And then you have so obviously some African American people who like are doing great and good for them, but like it doesn't necessarily get in the way of overall trends. So these days, like we need a more nuanced system. It's sort of like a progressive, like more nuanced, like mathematical, maybe based on like your income level to help you out, which would like affect people, but yeah, like it's just complicated. But like we do know there is discrimination, and as I understand some of the criticism of like DEI policies or whatever, and like affirmative action can seem like a bit simplistic, but with all those policies gone, we are seeing the bias return very quickly to like everyone just wants to hire a tall white man named John, and so it's like okay, like there's got to be some way to thread it, but it's complicated. Both parties in society at large have adopted unintentional microaggressions. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, we can read letter from a Birmingham jail, and MLK Jr. can critique the party for us. Yeah, let's absolutely do that in a minute. I'm going to catch up on these, though. Why would we think the Democratic Party is salvageable? Because they have a lot of money. The Democratic Party has a lot of people who I think are naive and want to do good but don't know how. I think like there's a lot of people in the Democratic Party, even in leadership, who are like not necessarily malicious, but sort of like naive and clueless. And can, I think, frankly, be bullied into doing better. You can also run against them and literally push them out. The Democratic Party is it's like a ready-made, it's like a nationwide institution. Like they have like systems set up already to like run for office and stuff like that. Like you have, it's there, right? If you wanted to, like, you can run as an independent, but you don't have access to those systems. Like, to literally register, you have to jump through a lot of hoops on your own. But, like, anyone can just run as something, right? So I figure, like, this is a party that has effectively failed and is free real estate. Like, use what's there already. And this applies to, like, any industry. There's a temptation to do everything from scratch, and it tends to be, like, a huge waste of time and money overall. You think, like, oh, we'll just do it ourselves. But, it's like, it's easier just to kind of take and repurpose something. Like you're halfway there, and I think a lot of Democratic Party policies are like pretty agreeable and statistically sound, even if they're boring or just presented terribly. Fuck, I'm sorry about the TikTok censorship. Okay, yeah, they joined the culture war to fight the right on its own terms and then lose. Join the culture war to fight the right on its own terms and then lose. Oh yeah, wage gap for women. Why wouldn't companies just hire more women? A big part of the wage gap does take in who's actually being hired. And part of it also is like there's a noted hiring bias in itself. Like people just tend to think men are more qualified and women are not. and they've done studies on this for like race and gender, where they just like put resumes in front of people that just have like names associated with different cultures or just different types of candidates, and it's just a bias. Like even if it would be logical to hire more women, they wouldn't necessarily do that. There are several. The wage gap is actually pretty complicated, and yeah, there are exceptions. It's not going to one fall along any specific line. A lot of companies are hiring more women, and even the companies that like are do express a bias and tend to just, if left unattended, will just keep hiring white men. Companies that hire like women in like leadership roles actually do better. It's like studied. Women on average like are not do not tend to be taken as seriously, and then have to prove that harder and work a little harder. Also, testosterone is tied with risk-taking behavior. So like women CEOs have kind of like a little more like are a little more play close to the chest, are not as risk-taking, and tend to perform consistently like a little better. Like you can do the, I don't know, there are actual studies. I know that sounds weird, but they're like actual studies. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a mix of like biases and just random hiring choices the candidates you actually get on a job-to-job thing. A lot of money is an obstacle. It means they're bought and paid for. Okay, so I have like a lot of money. Like bought and paid for. Yeah, bought and paid for is interesting because I know a lot of people don't want this sense of like elite. They don't want like an elite in there. They don't want like a super rich person in there. They don't want a billionaire there. But people like Donald Trump and Pritzker have a fairly you don't know what I'm talking about. You're drawing conclusions based on studies you haven't even seen, and that's just bad faith. Look it up. Like I don't care about your feelings of what a study actually, like look it up. You're drawing conclusions about things you haven't even looked at. And if I tell you, you're not going to believe it, right? But that bias there to not believe, like that's what it is that sense of doubt is what tilts the decisions there. That just bothers me. Okay, let's see. We have under pros, empathetic, actually successfully govern, higher GDP, education, health outcomes. What is the Democratic Party to? A chronic disappointment, okay. Going through establishment system is great as long as you're pro-Israel, pro-billionaire. Okay, I'm going to put that as pro-Israel, pro-billionaire in con. But a lot of people, statistically, like in focus groups and stuff, just on the street, if you ask people, someone who's is a billionaire unto themselves, like Trump or Pritzker, get a lot of support, because even among people who are distrustful of elites and money overall, because they have their own money, are seen as like no one can buy them. So that means that even though they are the wealthy, they feel like less bought out by the wealthy and therefore more trustworthy because they're less likely to be a sellout, which is an interesting divide there. Let's see. Yes, so Sylvie says in chat, that Democrats join the culture war to fight the right on its own terms and then lose. I think that was a huge problem we saw very clearly with trans rights in the 2024 election. Just an absolute failure to research, take a stance on, and defend that stance on the topic, which led to crazy neo-Nazis saying whatever they wanted about LGBT people and just kind of winning. And I do think for the near future, Democrats do need to kind of shut the fuck up about LGBT rights, especially trans rights. Not saying to cede any support on a policy level, because people deserve to live. But, shut the fuck up talking about it. Change the subject if it comes up. Because I do think that getting into it and then not having good answers and then just being really cringe and bombing is worse than saying nothing at all. If you're not ready to have that conversation, don't have that conversation. And a lot of the liberal and leftist activism on trans rights over the past 10 years has literally just made things worse. Things that were already like just kind of no one really thought about it, and like no one talked about it. Like things that were just kind of passively allowed. Like I don't know, it doesn't apply to a lot of people, but like go to your doctor and do whatever. Got put center stage, and now is illegal in half the country. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. I'll be honest. I think it was a reaction to the reactionary response to insurance. Yeah, it was a lot of like just bombing the culture war. Yeah, they picked a fight they were not prepared to have or prepared to win. Sports, leave it to the regulating authorities. Yeah, there are even like fairly trans inclusive sports policies already there that depend on a sport by sport basis of like what factors of a human body are relevant to the sport. And it turns out just height, like tall women might do better. Trans women might be taller than cis women on average, but perform on par with other like cis tall women. Or like maybe hormones are a factor, testosterone versus estrogen, but hormone replacement therapy can just cancel that out. Something maybe deeper than that, but like there are reasonable and pre-existing ways to define and regulate this stuff. Yeah, like just blanket bans are just based on a huge presumption that is kind of transphobic and actually not studied. And I just like studies. I don't know, like find facts. And yeah, I feel like Democrats sort of just folded on this idea that trans women are like huge monsters who will win any sport and yet cannot be trusted in the military. Because if trans women are in fact super soldiers, get them out there. I want like a million Captain Carters out there in the front line. Okay, so getting back to our list here, we have some big themes, big ideas. How would you describe the Democratic Party? Pros, neutral, cons. And then we're going to try to sum this up a little bit if we can. Yeah, culture war isn't about studies, it's about vibes. Totally wrong approach. That's true. Yeah. There's like a vibe element that was not contended at all. Okay, so we have rule of law, corruption, rule of law, anti-corruption, competence, support for social programs, professional civil service, lean towards academic solutions, runs and elects a lot more women and people of color, attracts smart people. Someone said fascist as a good thing, I think they're a troll. Someone said Jewish as a good thing, I think they're a troll. Someone said gay as a good thing, I think they're a troll. We have educated, compassionate, kind, empathetic, actually successfully govern, higher GDP, education, health outcomes, and like more trusted on healthcare, I will say also. Then we have neutral, affiliated with urban environments, affiliated with young people. Though that's not necessarily true anymore, but it's interesting how that still stays in our heads. It's like an assumption we make. And hands-off influencing various organizations, media, business, government departments. Cons, runs like a private club and ignores primaries. Needs to focus less with the culture war stuff. We've lost blue-collar folks. Out of touch, Chuck Schumer. Market-driven over people-driven. I'm a little curious what that means. Dems do very well when they align themselves as anti-war. Okay. Anti-war. Sometimes good when they are. That's a good one. More trusted to stand up to big banking and big money. Okay. That's good. Back in the negatives, we have metricized, capitalist, derogatory, capitulated to TikTok ban, influenced, concessionary, presidential candidates dropping out simultaneously, afraid to use leverage, afraid to disrupt the status quo, claims to be big tent, coalition doesn't work together, sometimes presumptuous in their supporters, too focused on identity politics, imperialist, cheesy, think that forest and the color purple are cool, there's nothing we can do about it, business party, ID politics is calling people an ist or a phobe when they disagree. Dems are low-genuinely sellouts to 1%. Too many career Democrats in the House and Senate, self-serving first. Obstructs the emergence of working-class politics. Tends to do ineffective protests. 2025 State of the Union signs. Advancement requires selling out. weak, naive, idealistic, quick to concede on minority rights, attacks anything that falls outside civility politics, conceited, elitist, unapproachable, join the culture war to fight the right on its own terms and then lose. A lot of money bought and paid for, chronic disappointment, pro-Israel, pro-billionaire. Okay. That's a lot. How we do in chat? This is what people seem to think about the Democrat Party, the good and the bad. Based on this list, let's sum it up. Like, if you could pick 3 big ideas, like 3 topics or 3 nouns or 3 like phrases, like 3 good, 3 bad, what are the biggest? Career Dems to a neutral thing? Experience can be very good. Okay. I'll do that. Yeah, but like if we could just sum this up, like what are like our 3 like bullet points for good and bad? What stand out to you as the big picture overall? I'm curious. I can do this myself, but I want some other views from people, and I'll move Career Dems to neutral. Good, we have once good outcomes, okay. An incumbent would look at this list and say we have a messaging problem. I will also look at this and say there's a messaging problem, but I think it's a little deeper than that. It's a vibing, it's a branding problem. It's an internal or public-facing argument. I mean, I think we want this to be public-facing. We're trying to synthesize this, right? Which involves, first, look at all the dirty laundry, shake it all out, and then we're gonna see what could be actually done to pull this back together. Yeah, because like I want something that would generally appeal as a common sense actual thing to anyone. Somehow, a genuine rapist pedophile managed to appeal across the country to a lot of people. And yet, Democrats didn't. But this is like the alternative to that. So it could really be whatever we want, as good as we want. And I want to like, let's see what's worth salvaging, and let's see what's not, and then like, see if we can put together a pitch. And I'm just a person. I don't know. I'm just a girl, but we'll see. Yeah. I mean, they do say every campaign we have a messaging problem, but they haven't actually figured out what the messaging problem is or offered a messaging solution. And that's what I want to do. So step 1 is saying we have a messaging problem. Step 2 is defining that messaging problem. Step 3 is sorting out, like we're going to start cutting out the infected, rotten parts of the message. And then, you know, see if there's like an idea in here. I think we should probably move on to the next thing. This is a different question. This is a very different question. What do you actually want the Democratic Party to be? Ooh, we have a lot of people care about basic things. Money, health, safety. When those are satisfied, they can care about the wider philosophical things. I agree. So this is like the next big question I really want to tackle. Okay, like we got a blank slate. We're making the dream political party, right? And we might already have some stuff here that is good and we should just recycle. But it doesn't have to be this stuff. But like in general, you know, what are the good things? How do you create an alternative to the weird cult of personality that is pro the Epstein elite and sending normal people to war to die for higher gas prices? You know, like, I want to know. I want the Democratic Party to be Tim Walz pre-nerf. I think that's funny, but just at least for the chat's benefit, and I'll repeat it. Could you explain what you mean by Tim Walz pre-nerf? Like, think of this kind of like, I don't know, is that how fantasy football works? I don't do sports. Like, we're building our dream team here. This is our pitch. Like, what's our wish list? Money, health, safety. Yeah, trans stuff isn't going to play at all this year, but Republicans will try. I agree with that. It might still play a little bit, but I think people get tired of a lot of the toxicity. FDR New Deal minus the anti-blackness. I hugely agree with that. Yeah, Tim Walz, before he was told to stop calling Republicans weird. And I think it's very important too. Calling Republicans weird seemed to get through because Republicans, as part of their positive identity, considered themselves normal and Democrats weird. And that got to them way more than being called like evil or fascists. Just knowing like they're weird freaks really, really rattled them. Okay, let's see. Yeah, point to when American prosperity was greatest and show the tax rate. We'll write that down. We have TR progressivism without the imperialism. Is that Teddy Roosevelt? I don't know if anything truly matters when the infrastructure of campaigns is based on money. That's true, but I don't think it's necessarily based on money as much. Because typically how campaigns go is they want to raise tons of money and then spend it on ads, usually on TV ads. A big problem that most people in power are too old to understand, that I hope everyone here understands, because we're like a little younger than average, even if we're not. We're tech literate, we're culturally literate, we're media literate. Especially with Gen Z, we're past that. For Gen Z, there's not a lot of money in anything. Authenticity is really important. We live in an attention economy. A lot of people are fans of things for free and connect and talk about those usually online for free. Like, and people will volunteer their free time and their passion and even like their labor to something they support as an idea. Like if someone can genuinely like be a fan of you and believes in what you do, they will be your ride or die and like volunteer free labor. A lot of this is comment sections. I think the impact of comment sections is hugely underrated on like spreading word of mouth peer to peer what people think about stuff. And even in like conversations in Discord servers, in person, at school, at work, any online group, any in-person group. And I think this is going to become a bigger and bigger splitting point. Yeah, the Harris campaign spent a lot of money on television and radio, and they also spent a lot of money on podcast appearances, which is not how you do that. And that was something they really messed up, and they failed on the podcast stuff too. They the Harris campaign, part of why they went with Harris is because she was the only person who could like legally just inherit Biden's war chest, which gave them a huge like money bonus start. And then they spent that money very inefficiently. They got very little return for how much they were blowing on it. Meanwhile, you get free support among like internet politics stuff. Like there are streamers with big fandoms. Whether that's like Nick Fuentes on the right or Hassan Piker on the left. You could not get people to shut the fuck up about like Israel-Palestine in 2024. You could not get people to shut the fuck up about trans rights in 2024. A lot of people just said the worst things they could. I've seen horrible transphobic slurs thrown around. I've seen people called spiritually Israeli, which is the most anti-Semitic and creative thing I've heard in a very long time. I support trans rights. I do not support Israel. I support Jewish people living. That should not be controversial. That just makes sense. That's decent. That's common sense. But, like, people found things to talk about and obsess over and comment on. And then, like, it was basically like a free mass marketing campaign. Does that make any sense? And so there's this problem of just chasing like money from big investors is not enough to just win an election, and can in fact now these days cost you among all that like that free potential missed labor you're getting from tons of people. Like it's effectively like the modern day like walking around and canvassing is just people online talking about stuff, and that can even control a conversation. Like 2024, as it went on, fell into the spiral of those two topics of like Israel Palestine and trans sports. Those were the weird things that just like cyclone sucked all the oxygen out of the room for everything else. And there are conversations we should have been having instead about cost of living, about how to fix price gouging at the grocery store, about healthcare, about home ownership. But you couldn't talk about one of those things without someone arguing and trying to railroad you into one of those two topics. And so like that's what I think like it's I know there's a big money problem, but I don't think there is as big a money problem as there used to be. And I think the big dangerous thing, and it might even be a tipping point on that topic, is I think the first mainstream candidate to reject AIPAC publicly and denounce Israel publicly might straight up win the general election. We're seeing now in the midterms, even in primaries, like if a candidate is painted as like, oh, you took AIPAC money, even if it took a lot of money, they could, in theory, in their heads, all that money turns into ads, turns into voters. Taking that money turns off a lot of voters. And so like they might have literally got a better return on investment by taking $0. And then they would get more like free grassroots support instead. Yeah, tired of rightoids asking what is a woman every time they get stuck, and make fun of them, because a lot of those people are like men who are horny and feel dejected socially, and they obsess over things like trans rights because they're misogynistic, and you can more openly be misogynistic about trans women without having to like censor yourself, right? Yeah, there's lots of like dark money moral panics. Like there's this whole thing of sense of authenticity, but yeah, a lot of weird reactionary boys and men will complain about trans women. Just reject them. You don't have to defend like the definition of trans women. The correct response is your mom. True. That's a big one. Also, just call out their situation. Why are they obsessing over trans rights? It's because they hate women. And they hate women because they hate themselves, because they can't get a girlfriend, and that's giving them a weird tizzy fit. And like it's this reactionary, they take it out on like this gender power hierarchy thing. And if you call them out on like, oh, you're just lonely and weird, like this is not going to help you get a girlfriend, they shut up real quick on a lot of the sexism, because it's just a bad strategy for a problem. Like, and you see this, like there's really fun studies on this too. Low performing men are more sexist. This is not only in like real life with like how much money they make or whatever, but even like literally in video games, in competitive video games, all the guys who are like in bronze tier will like hate women. I'm really good at Overwatch. And like in a quick play, like mixed thing, there will be, if I don't even use voice chat anymore, it's not worth it. But like some men would be toxic to me and then be terrible. Really good, competent men at video games aren't antagonistic, aren't as sexist or racist or homophobic or transphobic, because they have less to prove. So it's the sense of like someone who sees the world through a sense of a power hierarchy and sees themselves low on that hierarchy, feels threatened, so trying to find other people they can punch down on to feel like they're still better than someone. Yeah, so like sometimes it's worth engaging in the details of a topic. I think there are good faith conversations to have about something like trans rights, and there are also bad faith conversations to have about trans rights where the person who's being transphobic, it's not actually about trans rights, and you can get them to shut down or even like come around on stuff if you like dig a little deeper. Like, if someone like asks like, what is a woman? I'll be like, you don't know what a woman is? Like, have you gone outside? Because people who actually get laid aren't stuck on this idea of what is a woman. They aren't scared of like this theoretical concept of woman, cis or trans. Like, I'm a lesbian, and if you look at the statistics, lesbians are actually like the least transphobic demographic, which is funny, because lesbians actually just like women and then date women and spend time with women, and it does not matter nearly as much as some people pretend it to matter. Like, it's what is a woman is pretty intuitively and experientially understood for lesbians, and there's no issue there, and it's pretty trans inclusive on average. There are like TERFs, who are a subset of, they were once maybe feminists, but they're more sort of just like angry at the world, and they tend to be transphobic. They're called TERFs. They're not really feminists. They maybe never were. Maybe they once were. Some of them identify as lesbians. TERFs are basically femcells, like all the time. They're really salty about trans women, and it turns out a lot of them like are not getting laid, and they're kind of just angry at the community of lesbians as a whole because they are trans inclusive. And like a lot of TERFs, genuinely, if you look into it a little bit and you like don't let yourself get rattled by like they're just being capable people right now, and you like look past that for a second, they seem really insecure about their appearance and their ability to get into a relationship. So they're trying to like tear down trans women because they want to feel prettier or more worthy than someone else who they kind of see as their competition. Like these are the kinds of things. Like if someone's like, "What is a woman?" Be like, "I don't know. The people I kiss." So I'll probably cut a lot of this out, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave it in. It'll be like a fun kind of casual stream clip for people to put on. I think we have a pretty good sense of what the Democratic Party is, and we'll keep talking about what the Democratic Party should be. If anyone has any other answers on that, feel free to throw them out. But yeah, like what do we want the Democratic Party to be? Maybe I should put in my own answer to that. What I want the Democratic Party to be, based on everything I've read and I've listened to like focus groups and stuff, is the party of basic values and like good value economically for everyone. Like everyday essentials. I talked earlier about brand equity, right? Like how there's different ways a brand can present itself as good. Usually, when you have products available, there tend to be two major clusters of options. One is like the really high quality, fancy one, and the other is like, hey, this is the affordable, generic brand, everyday value, reliable, cheap, basic, standard one. I think that is what the main two parties should kind of optimize for, or are optimizing for. The Republican Party is failing that. The Republican Party is branding themselves as millennials, pretending to be Gen Alpha, pretending to be cool, epic gamers, and it's like run entirely by 4chaners. They have AI generated videos of the Roman Empire and like Halo gameplay. It's cringe. It's really, really cringe. And they don't understand where they win is with that old country club aesthetic of conservatism that Donald Trump seems to understand, but a lot of the media team doesn't. That's like clearly led by Vance. Vance does not get it. But the angle that works for Republicans is like the fancy elite privilege, like reliable, you know, it's for the rich, you get good returns, not traditional. Like they're the fancy brand, right? What Democrats need to be is authentic and humble and available. Democrats, I think, made a mistake getting caught up in some of the lecture-heavy elitist identity politics angles and education level gatekeeping itself. Because what the Democratic Party needs to be, by contrast, is Walmart. I think the Democratic Party needs to be that like Walmart generic brand every day. It's just good for you, no worries. We're not going to lecture you about it. We're not going to like brag and get up our own ass about it. It's just there. Look, you want to fix a pothole? Cool. That like basic fix it, can do attitude. I think that needs a lot of simplicity, a lot of like practicality, like common sense, everyday, affordable, low cost of living, low prices. These are the basic ideas that we all get exposed to every single day with like major brands. And it's effective. It works. It is a niche. Similar to like the luxury brand option is a niche. But more people go for that common value, everyday generic thing, I don't care, whatever, than the fancy specific brand. In a democracy, a first past the post election, that wins. That's more people. That's how you get that like majority again. Democrats have resigned themselves to like the smartest third of people who have the luxury of getting to know people different than them, who have the luxury of like going to college. And that's a losing battle, as we found out. Like, yes, more educated people like vote, but a lot of stupid people can also vote. A lot of people who just are hateful and have not thought about a single thing will show up and just vote for Donald Trump and then they'll leave. That's what we've seen. That's why, like, in midterms, Democrats crush, and then in generals, Republicans crash. Because the Republicans don't even know there's a midterm election. They'll even just vote for Trump and then leave the rest of the ballot blank. It's a disastrous imploding brand right now on the Republican side, as you get, like, the differences between the neocons and, like, the America First populist crowd. It's splintering there, and they don't really know what they have. The Democratic Party, I think, can be way quicker to seize on not only this kind of evergreen, like, common, basic, great value brand thing, but it's simpler. In a time when the Republicans are painting themselves in a corner of different, like, big ideological, like, evangelical or, like, hyper-masculine nonsense, hey, man, we just want to fix potholes. On its own, it's already, like, a very simple, clear, everyday message. But in this context specifically, against a very messy, ideological, obsessed alternative who's very whiny and judgmental and exclusionary, I think that hits, like, double hard. And I just want to start kind of defining this brand more and expressing that, because I think it basically gets, like, a temporary, like, multiplier bonus on how well that will hit. This is what Zohran Mamdani did. And so, like, there's this big problem. And I'm going to switch to my camera view here. I've noticed a lot of people say they want a Democrat fighter. Like, they want the Democrat version of Donald Trump, or a parallel or an equal to that. That's what they say. And it's easy to think that, right? Like, if you ask people in the 1900s what they would want, they would just say a faster horse. And then, like, oh, there's a car? I never would have thought of that. But yeah, obviously I want a car. And so people are looking to the one example we have and saying, look, let's just do that. And I gotta be honest, liberal rage is a pretty appealing pitch. Like, Gavin Newsom with a katana probably has my vote on the sole campaign promise, like, he will prosecute every single corrupt person. But I don't think that's as complete as we think. A lot of people say, like, I want a fighter. But, like, what people say, even in a focus group or, like, an interview type question, what we say and what we actually intuitively, like, believe are not necessarily true. Even if we're not trying to hide or lie about anything, what we say and what we want are necessarily true. Donald Trump, I think, had his breakout success initially in reshaping the Republican Party because he found things that people wanted but weren't saying out loud, or maybe didn't even know they wanted. As people say they want a fighter, and the Texas Senate primary we just had really showed that. Jasmine Crockett is wholly defined as a fighter. She is very controlling and owning of her own communications team and angle. She, like, takes her own lead on social media and messaging, and she is very outspoken. She's a fighter through and through. And she has a very, like, Gen Z, like, competence at this. She's not, like, boxed in by corporate people just telling her what to do and having standard things. The alternative was James Talarico, who was like, hey guys, I'm squeaky white boy, and I like Jesus. Let's flip tables and show the rich what's coming to them. It's all of us against the elites. I love Jesus. And that worked. That won. I think people say they want a fighter, but I don't think being a fighter has all the value we think it does. At a baseline, everyone is reasonably expected to be a fighter at this point. You shouldn't stay there and, like, get bullied and let yourself get bullied. Call something bad out if you see it. But just being a fighter alone as a brand is not enough to carry, because it feels tired and weak at this point. We've had, like, 10 years of this shit. We don't want it anymore. Texas, of all places, should probably like fighters more than most, right? Like, that's a very kind of tough, like, brand. And that was a hypothesis. We tested that brand. That is not winning across the country. There are, like, several primaries. People are just like, yeah, I'm going to stick it to Donald Trump. I'm going to, I'm going to fight that. Those campaigns don't, like, catch people. What catches people is more, right? Because being a fighter alone it doesn't tell me who you are. It just tells me what you're against. And when Donald Trump especially is on his way out anyway, even if it's just natural causes and old age. I'm gonna fight that and be against that is not only taken as like the given, but it's boring. It's played out. It's like, so what? What's next? What seems to be winning more dramatically, more deeply, more substantively is a positive vision, even with a positive presentation. But it can't just be like, I'm happy and nice. Like, that's what Hillary tried and it didn't work. In part because, let's be honest, like, Hillary Clinton at her best is not happy and nice. Hillary Clinton at her best is just a sociopathic policy terminator who will just like get a bunch of statisticians and lock herself in a room and just do the policies that, like, she's a nerd, but she's very cold. I like that. Not everyone does. That's fine. Not everyone has to, like, I don't care. It's not just about like being nice, but you need to have an idea of what you want. You need to promise. People don't like people who are just fighters or just anti, because it doesn't tell voters who they are. So you don't have to be nice per se, but like nice helps. But it's just, you can't just be a fighter. Have a specific policy idea. Zohran Mamdani always has a smile. He framed himself as someone positive, but more importantly, he framed himself as someone constructive. He had an idea, and I think what people really want is someone like with a clear idea, even if it's a vibe. It's a vibe of problem solving on basic issues, like something constructive. Yeah, we need like a positive. Like, what are you going to do? Not what you're against. Yeah, and like we're already seeing this start to creep in with Gavin Newsom. Like, Gavin Newsom, I think, has done pretty uncontroversially like a fantastic job of being a fighter. He's been a troll. He's really illuminated the problems with the right. He's broken up, I think, the strategy of being a fighter. I think he proved that's cringe when the right does it by doing it himself. I think he sort of kamikaze to the aggressive strategy, where I don't think he can win on it. I think people will get tired of it by 2028. I think Gavin Newsom really took the wind out of the sails of just being aggressive and showed how cringe it is to a populace that forgot. But already, like, after that initial wave of clapping for Gavin Newsom, people are against Gavin Newsom now because they don't know what he's for, and so they filled in those blanks with, like, he's just a slimy politician, someone said. Chat. He'll just say whatever he wants to get in charge. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have an agenda. Like, those are the kinds of things. People felt Kamala Harris didn't define herself. She had policies, but, like, they were too nerdy. They weren't summed up. There wasn't, like, a through-line narrative of a brand. Gavin Newsom doesn't have his own positive vision. We need someone who says they're anti all this nonsense. They're anti-ICE, specifically. You say anti-fascist, that's too ideological. It's too polarized. It's too misunderstood. If you're anti-Trump, that's boring and going to expire anyway. Anti-ICE, that's something specific that people have good reason to hate specifically. It's very concrete. It's not about ideology that's over people's head. And we need someone who's like anti at least AIPAC. Maybe someone who can even denounce Bibi Netanyahu's government specifically. There is so much hatred towards that government and its human rights abuses. But we need someone who also has a positive vision. And yeah, even if like, I don't think Newsom has a track record of being really bad on anything, actually. People say that because they don't know the positive he's done. And he hasn't professed a clear vision for doing more positive. And if you don't do that, people have a suspicion, sometimes even reasonable, that you will turn on them or do something bad. Like, to be undefined is to be treated as untrustworthy and dangerous. And because Gen Z has lived their whole lives facing enshittification in every industry, and broken promises all over, like, we assume the worst it's just a matter of time. Like, the Affordable Care Act was kind of the last big thing in our lifetime. Concepts like Medicare for all are really good. That's just one idea, but that's a thing. Concepts like free college work, but we need like some big positive specific ideas. And Mamdani did that by talking about things like buses, like free buses. That really, really, really worked. Mamdani isn't even a fighter in that sense. Like, he's taken a smiling picture with Donald Trump, and people didn't mind. He's actively rejected the fighter brand because he found it was more useful and he's already gotten the returns he wants by staying positive but having a vision that people can cling on to. So like I think the answer needs to be policy driven, but it needs to be simple and clear as well and sort of concrete. Like protect democracy is too vague. That is positive, but it's even more just defensive rather than like constructive. Protect democracy is too vague and like it's sort of boring, you know. It's like sort of dry. I don't know. It's saying we're not going to take stuff away from you, but it's not going to give me anything. What are you going to do for me? And yeah, the Affordable Care Act I think made huge progress at the time, but it's not enough anymore. People want more. People want better. It was obvious from the start, like this is not as good as it could be. There are flaws. Part of those flaws were like built in by the opposition to purposely make it bad or hold it back from being all it could be from people who wanted to sabotage it. But it was a compromise. Like it's bad. The Affordable Care Act, as we have it, was never meant to be the end goal. So we have this sense of like needing to rebuild trust with voters. It seems super, super core to all of this. Needing to have something more concrete and policy-based and economic is huge of this. Less elitist, less luxury, less focused on sort of a higher upper middle class. Even if it does benefit or grow the middle class, grow the middle class is the wrong language to do because it feels like you're just saying go screw yourself to anyone who identifies as below that. Yeah, and like compromising was necessary, but like having a reputation as the people who compromise is bad. Yeah, midterms are absolutely about opposition, but that starts to fade and starts to get tired, and already people are like, okay, what's the next big idea? So like money, health, safety, these are all good. Yeah, and I'm sort of getting ahead of myself here, but I looked at a bunch of different brands and a bunch of different like everyday household stuff, like what's considered trustworthy, what's considered like that kind of basic, practical, like actually something there for you, like very concrete, accessible kinds of things. And I saw lots of recurring motifs among those sorts of brands, like color, type, being something that feels clean and new and fresh and basic and fundamental, and like non-judgmental and like kind of open to everyone without necessarily saying that. Doesn't need to like flex diversity as much as just be available to everyone, no matter who you are. That can feel less antagonistic and like along lines. And that's sort of where I want to go. Yeah, Contract of America would be great, like policy ideas. But even focus on the branding. So I looked at a bunch of brands that sort of fit that idea. And I've been messing around in my like graphic design software because I do design. And I have like one concept. It's not enough. I'm sorry. I wish I had more. I'm going to go back to my browser. I'm going to see if I can add in a new window. Properties. Yeah. So I made a little thing. I made a little arts and crafts, like how I would present this conceptually. This is my pitch for a brand for like Democrats, right? We need to have this like kind of brand reboot, like a visual messaged, projected, screamed from the rooftops, rejection of all that bad old stuff. A party that needs to be anti big money and pro like kitchen table issues, pro basic infrastructure, health, safety, schools. And just running as a Democrat should mean something. It should implicitly give you not this like eye rolling, oh, you're weak, but like, oh, you mean you're about like the basic, you'll help us out kind of stuff. So this is my mock-up for like what I think that would be, or what that could be. And I just want to walk through some elements of this. This is a bit nerdy and a bit graphic design, but I tried to redesign the Democrats, like how we could present that, to lean on the good and away from the bad. First, big entrenched old money stuff. That would look very traditional. We're getting rid of all of that. The very official, formal, like elitist, top-down kind of thing. That's how the White House presents itself now, with the big like serif fonts, and it looks tall like pillars. This old, institutional, authoritative. We're getting rid of all of that. Like, it's how do you convey that sense of being like elite or like common? Um, so with a font, I went with Open Sans. I know this seems dorky. It's like visual. It's very aesthetic. It's very surface level. But these are the tokens that can help convey deeper meaning inside them. This is the peanut butter. Uh, so I went with like Open Sans, which is a free Google font that anyone can use. It's a very basic, practical sans serif sort of thing. Um, it's wide and friendly. If you look at like generic branding for something like Walmart or whatever, or like I don't know, even Whole Foods, which is like a higher end thing, but they still have their own generic brand. It always looks like this, or like any generic anything. It's very clean, very minimalistic. It's pretty simple. We have it's not all caps, like the White House in all caps. It's using title case because lowercase letters are friendlier. Notice it's like wider, it's rounder, it's like a bit softer. We want to lean into that a little bit. People like that about the Democrats, but it shouldn't be. We need to cool perceptions of elitism and being in your face and like judgmental, and more this sort of friendly openness. Um, I put new because a lot of people have these like negative perceptions, even of this like establishment progressive divide that's already becoming sort of irrelevant. Like those aren't really the terms in which candidates are divided anymore. It's very like 2016 coded. Um, and just the sense of like, hey, even if you've voted your whole life against Democrats, this is a new thing. Give it a chance. Like this sense that Democrats aren't just like on the back foot, fading out this relevant thing. Like, hey, give it a chance, right? So have like a little like new, like a product, right? Mamdani's branding was absolutely informed by like generic branding on little products you'd see in a bodega, like little grocery store stuff, by like taxi cabs. I'm using the language of like capitalism and products and marketing that you're blasted with every single day to mean something better. So then we have a little logo mark here. I added a little check mark. I did this for a couple of reasons. We need to emphasize this sort of like can-do attitude. I think that's important because we need that sense of like, hey, we're actually solving problems. You can trust us to solve problems. We're going to get stuff done. And then clearly present and report those results, I think is crucial to building and maintaining a goodwill that has long been forgotten. So I think a check mark is very, decisive. It's like crossing off, like, what that means, like a kind of a grocery list every day, like crossing it off for like a check mark. We're hitting that like language of like everyday normal stuff, positive, affirmative, which the Democrats also have. Yeah, the Obama logo is great. It's like the O and like the American flag. It looks like a sunset or like a sunrise. Is great. So it's like sort of like a can-do attitude, like the little like Wreck-It Ralph guy. Um, Also, I noticed the Democrat Party right now. Yeah, New Democrats is not. It's not the first time we've had the New Democrats. The Democratic Party right now has two logos. There's the word Democrats, and then they'll have a D, like a D in a circle, which they use in some social media, and they also have the little donkey, and it's one or the other, and that's fine. But like already, like there's a less consistent brand image than there should be. That's an example of just this inconsistency in this split. And a lot of things we talked about, what the Democratic Party is good at and bad at, was this like inconsistency, this infighting, this split. The sense of compromise and division, and like we don't really know what you're about or what you're for. And so already, like the Democratic Party at a baseline presents stuff with two vastly different languages, like images. Like it's get on the same page, people. Like you feel disorganized. Or if you look at like any major corporation, they have their logo figured out. It's the same thing every place. They know what it is. Switching back and forth between the D and the donkey, it's kind of a mess. And like the donkey is like this, I don't know, looks like a pinata. They get beat up a lot. Donkey is like an ass. It has a negative connotation. It's like a work mule. It's like, stinky, bad. But I think the donkey can be also reframed as like, it's a common sense, everyday, like working animal that helps you out. So it looks sort of like I wanted to merge those two symbols and make them like a little kind of cute and simple. So it's like a check mark on the D, but it also sort of looks like a donkey head. That's what I was going for. And I'm not very good at like graphic design with like drawing and stuff, but I did even make a version with Like you could make it, like a little fun, like for kid, like a happy. You could do, you could do like make it look like a little guy, and this would obviously be adjusted with like the check mark and stuff, and the to look like ears. But you could merge those two symbols into one symbol that conveys both ideas at once, and I think it would work. And I think a check mark actually means something that's useful to us, where a donkey is a little random. You can fight for a donkey. You can absolutely fight for a donkey, but you do have to fight for a donkey like a little bit. So you define that. We're not an agricultural society. We don't have like a clear. It looks like a pinata more consistently than anything else. Then we have like a little slogan. I have a few different slogan ideas. I want to put at you all, but this is my first main one, which I think is the best overall. Let's fix it. This has a couple implications, right? It's like sort of tongue-in-cheek. It acknowledges, and I think levels people implicitly, and it's kind of like the joke, like, we understood that, like, we messed up and we're, like, a mess as a party, like, don't worry, we're the New Democrats, like, we're trying something new. We are committed to fixing this image issue. We're committed to undoing this clusterfuck and getting behind some good stuff. It also hits that sort of, like, can-do attitude, like, we're here to fix problems. And the more the Republican Party postures about this weird fascist virtue signaling, about how hyper-masculine and edgy they are, the more cringe they look against the message of, we're just here to fix problems. I think this is a pretty solid counter to that. And then you can get more specific with it. But I do have some other slogans we can get into. First of all, but let's like keep running with this, because assuming this is like my general slogan that like works, and it's just one brand pitch. With a graphic designer, you want to have a few different concepts, obviously, before moving forward. I was excited, and I just did this weekend. So we have, you can get specific ads, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Make America Great Again leaves you to fill in the blank. Let's fix it. Lets you like just see, oh, are there problems? Are there any problems at all? Like you can kind of fill that in, right? But then I think if you want to have specific ads, pick concrete, major, big picture issues. I say like, let's fix it as a general thing, and then have target spot ads on different topics. Let's fix healthcare. Or let's fix health. Might be better. Might win you back some of the granola hippies. Let's fix health. Yeah, whatever it is, we'll fix it, right? And supply, this is a brand you can use, whether you're running on a federal level or like a local level. Let's fix healthcare is what the federal people run on, right? They have, let's fix it. Let's fix healthcare. And so if you run as a candidate, you would pick your 3 big issues and you say, let's fix it, and you replace it with your 3 things. That's my pitch. It's like the simplest, like most all-in-one brand I can kind of have, right? If you're running as a candidate, you put your face there, and like they have the little Democrat like checkmark logo in the corner. So it means, and to be a Democrat should mean you're the person who fixes these basic everyday common things. And what things you choose to fix depend on your area, but to be a Democrat should mean to be a fixer in the eyes of like your local community or your voter base, whatever that is. Let's fix schools. That's a big one. Hey, remember when education was actually like a big important topic in debates and elections? Remember, like, have you realized how now we're in a like the biggest misinformation crisis of all of world history that is maybe going to lead to the decimation of human civilization? Unfortunately, schools are too high level a thing, and we've fallen down on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to like, I need food and shelter. But back in the day meaning like the Obama years, any presidential debate was like, what are we going to do about education, protecting the environment for future generations, energy, and like cybersecurity? Those are all issues that are like we've just let float away. Like those are too good for us. But schools, education, are important. I consider education. School is concrete. Education is conceptual. Education is conceptual. Conceptual, people are too stupid for that. Lower the bar. Education is conceptual, but it's still a topic. Like it's like at the level of healthcare. So I think health is better than healthcare. Schools is better than education. Democracy, something purely conceptual, is like way up in the clouds. We're not going to go there because not everyone can reach the clouds. Everyone can reach the bottom. Keep it concrete. Keep it local. Let's fix schools works at your local level. You're running for a school board. Let's fix schools. What that means, the voters can fill in. But if your signs just have your name and then a little check mark and it says, let's fix schools, that's a pretty good pitch to me. If I'm driving home and that's like all I see, that's all I know. Um, let's fix roads. You're running at a local level. Just put this on a sign, or let's fix potholes. Literally, put a sign that says your name and a check mark, and let's fix potholes right next to every pothole along like all the roads in your town. I think you could win that local election. And the more that your opponent tries to virtue signal about trans people playing sports, the more ridiculous they seem. Let's fix roads. Also within this like let's fix it kind of thing, fix is positive, it's constructive, it's practical. It's like like construction worker, like fixing things, like repairman kind of things. But also let's. The word let's. There's a certain thing with like active and direct verbs. Make America great again works because the word make is so good. It's just like we're gonna force it. It's direct, it's short, it's active, it's a low reading level word. I know I'm getting into the nuances, but these things matter with like how clearly and efficiently can you put an idea in your head, from my head into your head, and then keep it there. Let's is similarly active, like we're just gonna do it. But let's is cooperative. It's you and me together. It puts us on the same side. But also let us is asking for permission. Like I'm coming to you, I'm asking for help. Give me your vote, trust me, I'm gonna do this for you. And we're gonna do it together. It's like this positive sort of thing. Yeah, it's like pragmatic, but like it's cooperative, right? And Democrats do well in that. If people want compassion, if people want cooperation, they go Democrat. So we're leveraging like the strengths of the brand into like something that works, but it's on the same level, like make America great again, right? But you don't want to use the word make. You don't want to like actively mirror and put that thought into people's heads. You don't want to be like make America even better. You could do that, but like you're still playing on the opposition's terms linguistically, psychologically. This is different, but it's playing at the same thing, like that direct. We're going to take the problem and do something with it, sort of thing. Yeah, BLM was make BLM. Yeah, that might work. Yeah, depending on the others, like yeah, like something like that. So like it's very direct. This was a hard one to thread because if you do let's fix affordability, might work, but also it could be like if you're fixing it, it could mean like kind of going against it. Like we're gonna make things unaffordable. Like this is a problem we're gonna destroy. It's hard. It's hard to word these a little bit sometimes. Affordability plays really well. That's what Mamdani ran on. Affordability is a pretty big word. However, affordability gets a pass because it's in so much like marketing. When you have those two product options, you have the nice one and you have the affordable one. Affordable has threaded that like this is like the cheap bad option, but like how do you frame that as a positive? Affordable is used enough that it kind of gets the pass, but it's a little long, it's a little wordy. And after the Mamdani thing, everyone's figured out like this is the angle. So people are using affordability verbatim in a way that feels cheesy and feels forced, and like politicians are trying to use it as a skeleton key. If you say, let's fix the economy, Republicans against all statistics are trusted more on the economy. And they can always point to the stock market. And the stock market is one thing. Biden had this problem too. You talk about the economy, people think of the stock market, which is a different thing than like basic buying food at the store. When you say cost of living instead of the economy, cost of living, it's still economic, but people are thinking of food and rent and medicine and gas. Cost of living is better than affordability. Also, cost of living, it's using lots of basic words. So like, let's fix high prices, I think might get there. This might not be the right phrasing of it. These are the little nitpicky things I do as a designer. Let's fix high prices. Like high prices are bad. You know what that is. There is no level of whining that Republicans can do if you're just saying like the prices are too high. Like you've just declared that and defined that, and then it puts the ball in their court to argue against that, and it's a stupid losing argument. This is the right argument. The prices are too high. Not good enough. Even if they brag about the stock market, the prices are too high. Even if they bring down prices, call them still too high prices. That's like unbeatable. It's like a little unfair, but like that's the good framing to have. And this works, and this is true. This is what it's all about. This you could run pretty much anywhere in any context where you have any economic control in the election you are running in. Yeah, like let's fix utility bills. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like utility bills are out of control. Like these are the kinds of things that are really, really hitting right now, conceptually. Let's fix corruption. I don't know if this will play well, to be honest. I think corruption is a huge problem. When people say they want a fighter, I think we're past the point of wanting anger and like social media dunks. I think we want people to crack down on like really rich people not paying their taxes. People want like some attacks on corruption. People want more substantial attacks on corruption. We don't want call outs on social media. We want like people to go to jail. Like at this point, it's just straight up prosecution for war crimes. Um, I think like the Tea Party movement really had a chance to do something and then flubbed it. Of like people are really pissed at how super rich and powerful people have gotten away with a lot that you and I would not be able to get away with. And they've hurt a lot of people in the process. Let's fix corruption, I think gets to that. Um, I think that works. But even though corruption is kind of a big thing for everybody, it's still about other people. And it takes, honestly, I think this is why Trump is sort of burning out, and why voters want something different, not just a fighter. It takes energy to be angry. We can't be angry forever. And it's a little abstract because it doesn't affect your life personally. It's still good, it's cathartic. But like that's why I think this is not actually the strongest angle, even though it's pretty strong. Um, it requires actively caring about other people for a while on a lot of stuff. And we don't really want that. It's hard to care. It's hard to stay caring about that. It's why Republicans have given up on the Epstein files. Like, yeah, it's corrupt. There's bad guys. They don't want to arrest them, but they're not still angry about that. Some of them crash out about that, but like they can't actively stay angry about that. So this is there for people who want it, but like even people who say they care about this, truth be told, I don't think is actually their top issue in practice, even if they say it is. People care more about like their own personal cost of living. It's a bit more selfish, but it's a bit more concrete. They get something from that. You can get rid of corrupt people that might have good indirect impacts. You don't feel that as directly. Do I have any others? Let's fix jobs. This one is good. American culture is weird. There's a whole cultural ethic of like, we want to work for what it is. We're the good people because we've earned it compared to bad, lazy people who haven't. It's why things like UBI, like Universal Basic Income, are not as popular compared to like low taxes. Like people want to feel like, but I earned this. There's a really bad, really bad job market right now, but I feel like people want jobs. People want money. People want money. It helps a lot of people. But there's like a weird segment that's huge of people who vote Republican all the time. And sometimes vote Libertarian, who would rather just have a job than have any welfare. AI will necessitate UBI really fast. That will become self-evident. Running on UBI might be one of the winning big ideas of the next election, of like something positive you'll do for people. But especially at like kind of mid-level government, like running at a state level, let's fix jobs. I think will work and play very well, especially in this economy. Like I'd vote for someone who says let's fix jobs. It's like, okay, you're gonna create jobs. It works really well because like jobs are being destroyed right now in mass and not replaced. I don't know how. It would be up to the candidate to fill a specific policy thing, and they can have a specific policy thing. That's there for the neoliberal, nerdy policy wonks who want that. All a layperson needs to know is, okay, you're the person who's going to fix jobs. And I think that gets it through. Let's fix the border. This is a fun one. One of the top 5 issues every fucking election of my life is the border. Never mind the fact that Joe Biden had a bipartisan supported bill to help on the border stuff and immigration stuff. Then Trump, who was not in office, told the Republicans to not vote for it, even though they already wanted to vote for it, because they wanted to run on the problem of immigration and border security rather than actually have an answer. The fun thing about this, too, is this means whatever you want. On the same issue of like fairness and feeling you earned it, like jobs rather than just having welfare, a lot of legal immigrants, a lot of Hispanic legal immigrants are very conservative on border and immigration stuff because they feel like they earned it and they don't want anyone else to get a pass, and are very anti-immigrant. It's also a way of like gaining cultural acceptance by sort of punching down. It's sad. A lot of those people are learning. It doesn't work out that way, and a lot of the more bigoted elements of the Republican Party will not, in fact, draw any distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant. They're purely running on the basis of skin color, and that's what they actually want to say. But let's fix the border is flexible. It feels like you're coming to a lot of voters on their top issue, which, to be honest, people use as a proxy for like either their own bigotry, which is stupid, or they use as a proxy for like a sense of there's crime and I don't feel safe, which they associate with immigration, or the economy's bad and I'm worried about getting a good job or having enough money. And then they use immigration as a proxy for that. So like anything your border or immigration is really a proxy for generally two valid issues, which are like safety and like economic stability. But they still, regardless, blame that on the more concrete thing they can see and see in the news, or see in pictures, which is the border, which is a physical place, or immigrants, which are real people. Safety is abstract, and if you're insecure, you don't want to even talk about that directly. The economy is also abstract and complicated. The border and immigrants are the go-tos for lots of people because they're like nouns. Let's fix the border. You can do a lot with. You can do whatever bipartisan measures make sense. Frankly, when I say let's fix the border, I think we need an overhaul to make the pathway to citizenship and legal immigration way more efficient and effective, starting with giving full citizenship to everyone who's here already, who's undocumented, because that means they can pay more taxes. And also they qualify for some welfare programs that not everyone uses anyway, even when they qualify for them, including like fully natural born U.S. citizens who, I don't know, are white Europeans from Anglo-Saxon, whatever the fuck, Protestant, Christian, your favorite denomination of choice. There are people who literally qualify for welfare programs and don't use them. There's not a lot of waste in the system at all. But you could say, let's fix the border, and use it as a proxy to mean, hey, we're going to reform, use a bunch of like new tech to really streamline the immigration system. And with that, you could buff up border security. Say, hey, that's fair. Right now what happens, the problem with the border is that the legal pathway to it, like to actually get a hearing and a judge, is such a clusterfuck and is so backed up. It is literally worth it by comparison to just hop the fence. When you have a fairer, more reasonably like worth waiting for legal pathway, then the illegal pathways don't make sense. They will just go through a gate, not a wall. Like it's you know, but and people don't understand that, and so it's just let's keep the system crap and then just arm everyone around the border, and then say you got to go through the right way, and they don't realize the right way is also broken. Fix the right way. Then it's more fair to enforce don't go the wrong way. But you have to do both at the same time. Let's fix the border gives you the like linguistic, cultural messaging pass to actually do that, to make it easier to become a citizen. And then you can throw in some border security too, because at that point it's not really hurting people in the same way, because you've already fixed the ways to actually help people and have people come in. The border is complicated. I have not like studied this, but it's consistently in polls a top issue for so many people. Democrats need to own up to this and then start messaging on it and claim it as their own issue. So that's my like let's fix it campaign. I just have like a little shortened version here, which I think would do better on like stickers or t-shirts. Just like new Dems. Let's fix it. It's like more square, less long. So that's my kind of overall message. I do have some other slogans too. I want to run past people because I'm a little worried that let's fix it. If someone's like fixing a match in like sports, you know, it feels like they're kind of rigging it. It can feel a little top down and control-y. I don't know if that's a popular message or something that would come through or influence people. I think let's fix it has an overall positive message. But I do have some alternatives, and I'm curious what people think about these. At some point, I'll make like a poll or something and put these out, like a Google form, so I can get like some real user data on what works and what doesn't. So we have Democrats, let's fix it. Then we have Democrats, here to help. I think this is also really good. It's fake and sort of define it yourself. If people don't trust the Democrats, though, they may reject that. They may just say, I don't believe you, and like not give you a chance. I feel like let's fix it is a bit more like action driven of let's prove ourselves. Here to help might not land in the same way, but here to help leans into that compassion. It leans into that like genuine here for you-ness that I think is core and we really, really need. So that's, I don't know. That's something. That's something to try. Democrats, here to help. that sort of like do-gooder vibe, that like Superman, the fix-it Felix kind of energy. Democrats, some of these are better than others. Some of these I was just tired and just like writing out whatever. Democrats, you deserve help. This sense of like deserving and fairness is really deeply American. You, people want to feel special. It's deeply American and it's deeply social media. So I'm playing with those kinds of ideas. This is not it. I feel my bones. It's not it, but those kinds of things. Yeah. Here to help invokes that nasty phrase. Like the scariest words in the English language are "I'm here from the government and I'm here to help." Yeah, but like even like a "you deserve help." I feel like in the face of like this fascist pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of coldness that the JD Vance thing is kind of leaning into, of like you deserve better. Like play into the American sense of entitlement a little bit. I don't know. There's something about like playing like I'm trying to get at a feeling. This is the wrong expression. It's the wrong way to do that. It's like you deserve this. Like you deserve something good. Yeah, like demand more from your politicians. I feel kind of works. You deserve better is one I also like circled around a lot. You deserve better. The problem with putting these are the Democrats and then writing you deserve better underneath can backfire hard. Because people are like, you deserve better than the word we have here, right? So I tried to avoid that. Calling yourself the best might work. Like I genuinely think if you have a Newsom runs for president and wants to play out the kind of aggressive, like sort of masculine, like I'm gonna push JD Vance around thing, Newsom is best. I think would be a really good tagline. Because if make America great, I'm great, or like we better, but then just claim nope, Newsom is best. I think is just like such a funny hard line in the sand, kind of thing. Like that's the sort of angle I would take for marketing Gavin Newsom specifically. I would market the different candidates in different ways. And that'd be fun to do, like do little brand streams about different politicians. I'm still playing with like similar sorts of themes and ideas here. We have New Democrats, like America for all of us. Like all of us, the same with let's, this like collective you and me together. I feel like it signifies we're transcending this like culture war division, like ID politics division, like separating into groups. This us versus them, us against the elites sort of energy. The phrasing isn't here, and I'm open to good ideas. If you see this later on YouTube, please throw it in the comments. I hope you see the vibe I'm trying to get at here. These themes of us, this is our America, right? As opposed to like this elitist, racist, only for certain people kind of thing. I feel like it's a lot of people mad. It also channels that like anti-elitism. So right, so when I say America for all of us as the Democrats, as opposed to the Republican thing, this I think caters to minority groups really well. Like, okay, this is like this is the party if you're a racial minority, if you are a cultural minority, if you're a religious minority, if you are LGBT, if you're a woman, like this is for all of us, and paints the enemy as you're just for like, especially under the JD Vance weird brand of like this religious evangelical white men thing. It's bizarre. Versus like this is for everybody else. But also this works more broadly, even reaching out to like white Christian men of this all of us against the elites, like kind of thing. So this I'd put in like a B tier. Excuse me. Sort of B tier, it's like above average, not doesn't hit super hard. But that's like a good angle of attack to thread. Of imply the other party is exclusionary, which they are. Preferential. Democrats, here for you. Might work. Might work. I'm gonna put this in like a low A. We're leaning into the American exceptionalism, the selfishness a little bit. I don't know. Might hit weird. We're here for you. Like we listen, we care. And a big note of this that like colors a lot of this is the lethal ad the Trump campaign ran late in 2024, which is the Kamala Harris, who failed to define herself, is for they, them. They just gave her an identity. They put one in of like crazy blue hair, LGBT pronouns, liberal. Well, that's what she's about because she didn't define herself very well. Trump is for you. Like that, I'm special, that American exceptionalism kind of thing. I have trouble mentally conceptualizing other people exist kind of thing. People like feeling catered to. It's selfish. It's very deeply American, but like here for you. This takes like that sympathetic compassionate Democrat-owned angle at it. Um, I think it's a good promise that we're going to put ourselves on the right foot. We're not in the interest of big money. We're here for you. I don't know. I feel like it's a bit bland. It doesn't hit super hard. I feel like let's fix it is like a better promise, but this is in that also category of we're making a promise to define ourselves and be for a certain thing, which I think is worth something. It's similar, it's sort of vein, we're kicking around ideas. Democrats, America for you. I kind of like that. I think America for you is good. Let's be selfish. So, and then anytime the opposition party brands itself with this like proud, self-obsessed kind of thing, yeah, 3 words is great for marketing. Yeah, like this, America's so great, like this Anglo-Saxon Christian Nazi shit, versus like America for you specifically. This isn't about their big ideology. This isn't about like the elites. This is like America for you, But I feel like America for you, like, the word America plays well, but America for you feels very technical. It feels like too big a word. It's like too abstract. Starting with like a big action-driven word, I think is really good. Like here for you works. Let's fix it works. Starting with America feels a bit floaty. Like make America great again. Puts America in the middle of it, but like it's not your anchor word. I feel like America as an anchor word is too vague to start out. This is weird. This is like marketing logic. I hope you're getting into my weird nonsense frame of thinking with me here. And I love that point. Yeah, like 3 words, like short, succinct, direct. Democrats for a fair America. If you play into the theme of like entitlement, what about me? This selfishness. Fairness is a big thing. So many Republicans hate what they call DEI. And what they mean by that is, yes, they're racist and sexist and homophobic. Their grounds for that feeling is this sense of unfairness, undeservingness. I don't realize that like the reason we have affirmative action and DEI is to make sure things are actually fair, because we have studied the bias, and the bias is towards hiring tall white men named John. But like fairness is good. This is too clunky for a fair America, but like it's not fair. I deserve what's mine. Like that's a strong, people rally behind that feeling because that feeling is themselves. But like for a fair America, I feel like for, I don't know, it's descriptive, it's not active, it's not a statement. This is just, it's like part of a sentence. You can't really start a sentence with for. But like fairness as a center idea is really good, especially when a big policy any politician needs, just for the longevity of the United States right now, is drastically increasing taxes on the wealthy, similar to what we had in the FDR days. Shout out to John, yeah. But like there's a really funny statistical trend of like companies will just hire a 6-foot tall white man named John every time. There was a landmark point in the late 2010s, maybe early 2020s, when we finally had more in the Fortune 500 top companies. We finally had more women CEOs than CEOs named John specifically. And even that might have tilted back. I don't know. Here we're getting a bit more like brandy. Like it feels more like a product a little bit. Like it's 2 ideas, but each is 2 words. So it's 4 words total, but it's broken up into pairs, which is easier to parse. And we have a little big distinction. So this is like a very good slogan sort of idea. You draw a contrast, so it's 2 things instead of 1 thing, but it creates like a clear here and there. Low costs, big ideas. I think this feels too corporate and cheesy. It's a bit too grocery store, but we're leaning into grocery store, but this might be too grocery store. Low costs are good. People like low costs. Big ideas, good. It feels bold, like we're trying things. But I feel like this is too cheesy. This is like too generic. I feel like I'm satirizing my own pitch here. Yeah, fairness is good. For every American, putting people first, new leaders now, restore the dream. Those are all great. For every American, I feel like that works to an extent, but it feels a little... For every American could backfire. For every American works in a lot of ways, but I don't want you to be for every American. I want you to be for me. I just need you to know you're for me. And if the other rest of people, if that's fine, but what about me? Like, I feel like for every, like some people are kind of selfish. You're focusing on other people and not me, which is why the like Kamala's for they them, Trump is for you works. They felt like, but I'm not the priority. People want to feel like they're the priority personally. Um, Putting people first kind of works. It's a bit vague. What people? New leaders now, I think, really works. Yeah, new leaders now is really good. It feels like a bit more protesty than like what the party is about. But new leaders now is really good. Restore the dream. That is a bit abstract. It's a bit conceptual, but like, gosh, that's sexy. Like the idea of the American dream. I use the word sexy weird. I never use like sexy to describe people, but like I use sexy to describe like certain like branding or like stuff like that. Like the American dream. Like it was something cool, like taking a long drag of a cigarette. Like there was an American dream. Like Death of a Salesman is a great play. Restore the dream. Like there's an elegance to that. Like restore the like I want an ad of someone of like a woman in a beautiful red dress in a sports car at night driving along a highway around like the mountains in like California, like in LA, right? And it's a dark sky and there's like jazz music playing in the background and then it just zooms in on her lips and she takes a drag of a cigarette and like exhales and then it's just a close up of her mouth, like you don't see her head, like from the side, and then she just says, "Restore the dream," and then it's like boom, like Democrats, like that would work. That's cool. But it's like it's intuitive. It's like that's very vibesy. It's not concrete at all. It's pure vibe, but it's a good vibe. Putting people first, yeah, putting people first works, but like it needs a little more. Putting people first as opposed to what? Like, and I feel like a lot of bad faith people, like what kinds of people, like like when you're correcting like an essay or something, you put the little caret arrow and then you write in the word. You're putting people first. A lot of neo-Nazis are gonna write in their least favorite subgroup of people before people. Like that's very vandalizable. Democrats, let's make life better. I had fun with this one. Let's make life better. This is simply like let's fix it. It's a bit more vague. It's like a lazier version of let's fix it. I feel like let's fix it is good because it's a promise externally to fix the country, but it's also internally like a promise of, hey, we're going to fix our own party. Don't worry, help us out. But Democrats, let's make life better. It's too vague. It's kind of a general fuck you to any other slogan or any other vision. It's so comically non-specific. But it might work. It's like, yeah, sure. Because this was specifically for the median voter. Okay? And you never want to understand the mindset of the median American voter. But there are genuinely millions of people who vote for a politician kind of on a coin flip, starting when they're 18 and they're smoking weed and they're in high school. Maybe because it's someone like our older relative voted for it, told them was cool. Maybe because they just picked a favorite color. And then they just spend those 4 years and then they think, is my life magically better? Am I like James Bond now? If not, vote for the other person. Am I rich and famous yet? No. I mean, my life didn't really get better. It is not super cool. So I'm going to give the other thing a try. And there was a lot of that in 2024. So let's like just sucky across the board worldwide inflation from COVID and trying to mitigate COVID short term caused a long term like ripple of inflation. Because things got weird with trade. It just happens and it sucks. And people needed money at home. Every country did this. It had consequences. Huge inflation from COVID. And it sucked. And a lot of people in 2024 were like, my life isn't better. It's not fair. Forgetting the fact that America weathered COVID economically pretty well, like relative to other countries. But it's like, it takes time to right the ship. And we were getting there. It was slow, it was gradual. Prices went up, but also like wages went up a little bit with it. Like it wasn't like a huge divide. Now we're seeing it get really bad. But it sucked. We were working on it. We were trying to pull that around. But there were millions of voters who are like, but I'm not rich and famous yet. And my life is kind of the same or maybe slightly worse or not much better. So I'm going to flip it. And then maybe Donald Trump will magically make me rich, and then I'll have my own Trump Tower with my name on it. Let's Make Life Better is directly appealing to those people. Let's Make Life Better is giving people that promise specifically. This vote this time, you'll just flip the switch back and forth, and this will be your magic wand. It's cynical. Anyone who knows anything about politics specifically will be absolutely rage baited by this, because this says nothing at all. If you want to be like a neoliberal pedant and then point to policies that have successful long-term outcomes generationally, from like education or like progressive taxation or housing policy, you totally can. This will work in that sense, I guess, a little bit. But like it's kind of just a vague fuck you to anyone who has an opinion specifically on anything. It's too vague. And that's the last one I have. Yeah, I have also have stuff in blue. I did it in like blue and white. I've seen, some options. It's fun. But I think overall my best one, America for You, is really good. Let's Fix It, I think, is my top one. Because I think the Democratic Party needs to be a little self-aware about its own, like, flawed reputation. And then, like, kind of pick up responsibility for that. But yeah. I think that's where I'd start. New Democrats. Let's fix it. There's a bunch of problems internally at the party and externally, and we're just going to start checking them off the list. And it's like a little D, and it also looks like a little donkey. And then you can make a little donkey. And have a little donkey up here. This is really bad. This is as far as I can take this, like, graphically. I love using lots of type and color and layout stuff. Like, logically, this font is, like, specifically, I was looking for something that made a friendly tone, sans serif. But, yeah, but I'm not good at, like, drawing, like, logo shapes. I just use basic, like, circle tools and stuff and lines. So the proportions of this are off. But yeah, like, you can make it a little happy donkey. And what I'd love to do, if you want to have, like, this happy checkmark kind of thing, is have, like, Democrats, and then they show the D, and then it, like, does a little, like, do they neigh? It's not a neigh, it's like like this little donkey, and it, like, rears up its head a little bit, and then, like, oh, it's alive, and then it, like, fades out the face, and then the face goes away. So it's like, oh, it's a donkey, and then it turns into just the D. If anyone, like, is competent at animation and you do something like that, that would be cool. But that's my pitch. Sorry, if I was, like, doing this as a paid professional graphic designer, and Democratic Party, reach out. I would love to help with your campaigns. You're all presenting yourselves terribly. I've seen local politician websites. They are horrific. And I will do another stream tomorrow where we will, like, look at the Democrat website as it is, which we did a few months ago, and clip it so we can, like, make that a standalone video, because it's real bad. It is impressively bad. But yeah, based on, like, where the Democratic Party is, because I'm glad that, like, chat was able to crowdsource the same feelings I have of what's working, what's not. Like, this is my solution to it. So I don't know. I hope that's something. I hope that helps. This is where I would start to rebuild things. Then you have your politicians, you have your speeches, you have your talking points, all kind of line up and start to get in line, but, like, around this idea. My dream for this is that, starting at the local level, going up, to be a Democrat is to be, like, practical helping your community services. Yeah, it's fun, like, going to these little design details. Yeah, like, community service kind of stuff. I think even things like food drives. Like, I think really effective Democratic campaign events in the future won't just be, like, paid TV spots, but literally, like, hey, we're going to raise some money, and then just do a local food drive. And then, like, have, like, signs with, like, I'm this person, I'm running for this office, and then, like, Democratic Party. Like, it should be seen almost like, the for the Red Cross, like, to see, like, that big red plus means, like, oh, like, health, safety, like, help, resources. That kind of common, like, ubiquitous, universal symbol. I want this to mean that. If you see this in, like, a circle on, like, a sign, just this, you're like, oh, this is a place where, like, they can help me with stuff. Like, it should be seen as kind of like a public utility, like, this practical, universal, like, oh, this is, like, the organization that helps with stuff. And I think in the new age, don't spend all this money on TV ads. If you're literally doing community service events with like to make Democrat mean that, and then record it yourself or have other people just record it on social media and be like, can you believe this presidential candidate came to my small town and is just running a little food drive? That's what Democrats should be. Like, hey, we're the people who are coming in and solving problems. If you're running for mayor of a city, go fill up a pothole and record it. And be like, yeah, no, I want to spend some tax dollars to fix all the potholes in town. And that's just what we're going to do. You have clear reports on the topics you're going to fix. Clear reports on the topics you're going to fix. Clear policies that do that. Clear, simple policies. As efficiently explained as you can. Clear status reports. Every month or week or year, be like, hey, we want to tackle these topics. Here's what we're doing about it. Here's the results we've had. Here's what's next. Like, because Democrats have good ideas and good policies, and then they're too nerdy to explain them, and they can't message about results when they do them. But yeah, no, I like message on stuff like this. This is the future. This is what I want. It does not need to be Nazi tattoos, Graham Plattner. You can be pro-worker without just like dog whistling about elites as the beginning end of it. It does not need to just be anger too. Even a lot of like this blue collar working class focused politics idea people want to return to. Even when it's appealing to even historical precedent for like unions and workers from like the 1900s, those movements were fought with blood. Like you had factory workers who were like filthy in like the Great Depression, who were like literally going up against like paid goons with guns to throw their bodies for the sake of workers' rights. And it was like bloody. Like it was lots of like micro revolutions. And there's lots of that like working class like masculine anger you get, you know, with like those kinds of candidates of like, yeah, we just need to get a blue collar like fighting workers' rights. But like that's used towards white men, and it's lots of anger, and it can spiral into, you see like anti-Semitism can like solar flare beam out of that really well. You know, like it gets lazy, it gets angry, and it's very short term. There's not really that like positive vision. And I just want to steer that like this is about those everyday services for everybody, including workers' rights, including economic relief as like the center fold of it. Frame it in this more like positive utility sort of way. Not utility in like a utilitarian kind of sense, I guess, but like a practical like a services. Like we're doing public services, good services available now. Like, you know, a blood drive, a food drive. Like, you know, check. We're getting it done. We're fixing potholes today. This is like dorkiness. Play into the dorkiness. You're the nice dork party. You are the generic store brand party. That works for everybody. That does not, and a big part of this is we're not giving up any of that social progressivism. We're not throwing minority groups under the bus. This is the brand that works for everybody without saying that directly, but presenting yourself like all the other brands that already present themselves for everybody that you probably buy and have in your kitchen. Like I looked at like Walmart as opposed to like fancier stores. You know, I looked at like generic like food brands, generic like cleaning chemical brands. Like every day, if you do chores, if you do your own stuff, I want this to look familiar and to mean familiar things. Like this just means help. This just means like practical. This just means basic. It's not just for angry white men who work in a factory or like guns or drive a truck. It can be, but not just for that. It's also for like housewives, you know? It's for families trying to throw together dinner. It's all of that. Like I'm stealing like the language of capitalism we see every day, and I want to use it for something good to mean the thing it's supposed to mean. This is a brand that is inclusive without being lectury. This is a brand that's not like being edgy. You can get to inclusivity by being generic instead of like super like woke, you know? You can be inclusive without being like, we just got to talk about white working class men. You can be inclusive without being academically elitist. You can be inclusive by being generic, and you can be generic without being bad. Every week, I am grateful for like just the cheap, easy, store-bought brands of products that I use to like eat, like medicine, you know, like generic ibuprofen bottle, sort of things. And we're not tapping this at all. Why aren't we tapping this at all? And just having a unified look will be really good. So this is the positive side of this, that I'm hopeful we can come to. I know the first half of this was a lot of critique, and I hope half is like a lot of the here's what this should look like. And my next stream, I will talk about what the Democratic Party is right now. Because they have a website, they have a brand that they paid money for. I did this for free, for fun, on a Sunday. And we will look at what the Democrats actually are and how bad it is, because it's worse than you think, but very consistent with all of the negative current narratives about what the Democratic Party is. So thanks for watching. I will clip this video and put it on YouTube. If you watch on YouTube, I hope you like it. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you are in any way involved with the Democratic campaign at any level and you want help with like communication, messaging, graphic design, whatever, use this as a case study. I don't know. I would love to talk. You can email me at my website, shesrightshow.com. It's just shesrightshow@gmail.com is my email. And if you like this video and you want to support me, you can go to shesrightshow.com, which is at the bottom of the screen. You can see it'll be in the description. I have a place to donate. You want to donate money? I also make merch, which is fun, that you can buy if you want that. Because this is my toxic. I like graphic design. This is how I sort of punch back. It's my creative outlet when I feel sad. So thanks for watching. Go to shesrightshow.com for more, and I will see you on stream later. Bye.